Ever wondered why some people are more drawn to cannabis than others? A fascinating new study from Washington State University might have some answers, and they used a surprising subject: rats. By studying these animals, researchers were able to get a controlled look at what biological and behavioral traits might predict cannabis-seeking behavior. Here's how they did it. First, they measured a bunch of different traits in the rats' things, like their cognitive abilities, how they socialized, and most importantly, their levels of a stress hormone. Think of corticosterone as the rat version of cortisol, the main stress hormone in humans. After getting all this baseline data, the rats were put in a special chamber where they could choose to get a puff of cannabis vapor. All they had to do was poke their nose into a port. The researchers carefully tracked how often each rat decided to self-administer cannabis over a 3-week period. So, what did they find? The results were surprisingly clear. The rats that consistently sought out more cannabis were the ones who had higher long-term resting levels of that stress hormone. This wasn't about short-term stress, like the kind you'd get from a tough workout or a difficult puzzle. It was all about their baseline, chronic stress levels. But that's not all. The study also looked at something called cognitive flexibility. This is basically the ability to adapt your behavior when the rules of a game change. The rats that were less flexible, the ones that struggled to adjust to new rules and relied on old habits, were more motivated to seek out cannabis. There was another layer to this. The researchers found that the combination of high stress hormones and naturally lower levels of endocannabinoids was a powerful predictor. Endocannabinoids are chemicals our own bodies produce to help keep everything in balance, a bit like our internal regulation system. So, rats with this specific biological profile showed the strongest drive for cannabis. What does all this mean for us? This research suggests that it's our underlying long-term stress biology, not just the stress of a bad day, that could make someone more vulnerable to developing a pattern of cannabis use. As cannabis becomes more widely available, studies like this are crucial. They could help us develop better prevention strategies and identify people who might be at higher risk. It's a huge step forward in understanding the complex relationship between our bodies, our brains, and our choices.